Hi, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. So we're going to look at the second week of August, which is the 10th through the 16th. And we'll take a look at that. So let's get started with that. All right. So we're starting on the 10th, which is a Sunday, but there's nothing that really happens until the 13th. Which is a Wednesday. So we have, and of course, things are happening and the moon is moving through the signs, but nothing necessarily significant. On the 13th, however, which vibrates to a 2911 vibration. Of course, whenever we see the 11, we know this is a master number. This is an energy of teaching. It's an energy of perhaps like a mini portal opening up. After all, the 11 does sort of look like moving onto a new level as you move through the parameters of the previous level you were on. And we have Pallas Athena ingressing into Libra, which is an 11 vibration, right? Libra is connected with the I and thou energy. Pallas Athena is the goddess of social justice, and she's in the sign of justice. So look, if you've been on the up and up, you have nothing to worry about. And on the same day, it looks like we also have Vesta. Vesta is what we devote ourselves to, moving into the sign of Cancer. Now, both Libra and Cancer are cardinal signs, so we have these two asteroids of feminine expression, as it were. The asteroids are considered to be like filling in some of the spaces left by the fact that the astrological, generally the 10 planets we work with in astrology, only 2 of them have the feminine element, or traditionally feminine, which would be Venus and the moon. Everything else has, well, masculine, or actually a planet like Mercury is neither masculine nor feminine. It's neutered, or it's hermaphroditic, right? It has both the male and the female blended sort of in that energy. But so this is big. This is an initiation. We're moving in, and it's a feminine initiation, and it's dealing with the goddess of social justice and the goddess of devotion. Vesta is the goddess of the hearth. She keeps the spiritual fires, like, so you walk into a house and you just throw on a little kindling and you have a fire. So it's this tending of the spirit. And in Cancer, it's the spirit of the mother. It's the spirit of the nurturer. It's mothers being like fed up and, sort of rising up and tending the fires so that we can light a fire. And part of that fire is the fire of social justice. So, and that's my parrot Apollo having something to say about it. More likely he's saying something because my husband is making something in the kitchen. Let's see if yeah, I can hear him chopping. My husband is making something in the kitchen, and the bird is reminding him that he's out there and that he would like some too. All right, so sorry about that. So on Thursday, the 14th, we have the new moon in Virgo. So it's really, now Virgo is a feminine energy, right? Virgo is the Virgin Mary, really, in the story of the heavens, right? She's the Virgin Mary. There's the creche there. Oh, goody, close. That was my husband yelling at the bird. Sorry about that. I'm still redoing the door on my room that I do this in, so there's not a door anymore to stop you from hearing that. So apologies. There will be a door soon, believe me. As soon as it stops raining, I'm out there doing the door. All right, so we have the new moon at 22 degrees of Virgo, Sabian symbol. We'll look into this more specifically a little, when we get to the day. Royal coat of arms enriched with precious stones. So it's special, right? It's really special. Coat of arms. This is important. The vibration of the day of the new moon is the 30/3 vibration, which is up here in Hesed, and it's connected to Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, and connected to Pluto, Jupiter now being in Taurus. So we can connect that Taurian energy. And also Jupiter, I believe on this, Jupiter is trine this new moon. So we have that energy, as is Uranus, but we'll talk about it when we get there. I don't want to talk too much about it yet. And then on Friday the 15th, we have Ceres, another one of the asteroid goddesses. So there are considered four asteroid goddesses. Three of them are changing signs this week. So it's like a gathering of the goddesses, because now they all have these new agendas, and they're all sort of getting together and saying, all right, this is what I'm doing. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And they have all this, these new sort of marching orders, I guess, from the universe. This is what we're dealing with. And Ceres is an energy of reaping what we've sown. She's an agricultural goddess. She's she's a nurturer. She feeds us. She's also a goddess associated with grief through loss of her child, Persephone, to her brother Hades. So we have that energy. And Ceres is ingressing into Scorpio, which is can be a real well of grief and sorrow and sadness and transformation and death and rebirth and regeneration. So it's not just, it's the whole like going down to hell and coming back out of hell, transformed, changed, transformed, and in a way on a new journey. So we have this energy happening on this week too. And then we have the Mercury on the 15th as well. We have Mercury stationing direct. It's been retrograde since the 23rd, since the sun moved into Virgo. Now, the ruler of Virgo, which is Mercury, on the day the sun moved into its sign of rulership, it also went backwards. So it's going over, and it's been spending its whole retrograde period in Virgo. Well, now it starts to move forward, and that happens at 9 degrees of Virgo. 9 degrees of Virgo, an expressionist painter at work. There's the Sabian symbol there. The thing with the expressionist painters is that when you look at an expressionist up close, you all you see is blurry colors. But when you put it all the way back, you can see the bigger picture. And there's a certain amount of, in impressionist work, there's a certain amount, because the boundaries are not, still even from a far distance, are not a line, right? Like it's not a line, it's a shading, it's a variation of shade. I think it becomes more malleable at the ends. And so there's this potential for creating, for stepping back, getting the big picture, but also creating the picture that you want to see. There's a power to that. Now there's delusion, which, we've all sort of been looking at. Have we all been deluding ourselves? What's going on? What are these stories we're telling ourselves? Are these true? Does it really work? I mean, these are questions. And I feel like this is some balance between, at this point, some balance between the imaginal and the real. And of course, Saturn is in Pisces, and so Saturn is the real, and Pisces is the imaginal. So the whole time that Saturn is moving through Pisces, we're going to have this energy of real unreality, real unreality, real unreality. And of course, Saturn does test our beliefs, will test our illusions and our delusions and the stories that we tell about ourselves, because Saturn is a tester. But for those stories that make it through Saturn going through Pisces, those are the stories that you can build upon when Saturn goes into Aries. So it really is a time of like deciding what it is that what it is, especially in September, what is it that you can sustain? What is it that is important enough for you to sustain, right? These are some of the questions. Because where do you want to put your energy? How do you want to live your life? You know, is it reflected in the life you're living now? Or is it something else that you have to change something about, right? All right. So, but now we have Mercury, it's going to be starting to move forward. And because 3 is a charm, right? On that day, we have the sun making a waxing trine to Uranus. Now, Uranus is the planet of change in Taurus, and the sun is in Virgo, the planet of service, the planet of perfecting, the planet, the sign associated with making the necessary adjustments, finding out what they are and making them. And with trying to Uranus, it's easier in a way to make the adjustments, to make the changes, to do the things that will free you from what's holding you back, really, what's holding you back. And so there's a free flow of energy with that. This occurs at 23 of Virgo Taurus. But the cycle between these two planets, because a cycle or a synod always begins with a conjunction, occurred on the 9th of May, 2023, which incidentally vibrated to the 21-3 vibration, which is end of a new cycle, beginning of end of an old and the beginning of a new cycle. And that is the 21-3 is the world card in the tarot. The Sabian symbol for that particular degree, 19 degrees of Taurus, where that conjunction happened, is a new continent rising out of the ocean. A surge of new potentiality after a crisis. So this is a real live opportunity to create a new world, to create a new world. So it's this space between what is and what could be that we're working with, and we need to work in. And we also, and there'll be times when we buff up against a limit that we can't overcome, and so we back away from that and we go to the next thing, and we look to see like what is going to sustain us, what in the way that we live our lives is being of benefit to us, and what is not, and where are the weak spots in this, and things like that. So September is a very much an internal month, Okay, let's get to the actual astrology now. And we'll look at those ingresses as soon as I can find the little arrow. Okay, here we go. So this is the first ingress. This is Pallas Athena as she ingresses into Libra. Now, I did do this for the US, so apologies to any place else. But, this is where I live, and we're in kind of a crisis now. So I'm interested to know. The ascendant for this degree, interestingly enough, is the last degree of Scorpio. So there is this very sort of end of the end, the true death, and then as we rise, once you get through Scorpio and you go into Sag, you're like, you realize that you're alive. That's why Sag is so optimistic, because they made it through the scorpionic stage of this. And so Pallas Athena as moving into, and the asteroid of social justice in the sign of justice. This is Lady Justice. Like, and we can see here, I have a picture of Athena. She has her owl there. She usually wears a breastplate with the Medusa's head on it that was given to her by, I think it was a Perseus who cut off the Medusa's head. But the Medusa is a symbol of feminine rage and the power of the feminine as well. So there's all this feminine, and then we have the owl who can see in 360 degrees. I mean, this is Athena. She's a strategist. She's a goddess of war, actually. And Venus just became the morning star, and Venus is a goddess, and a morning star Venus was considered traditionally a warrior goddess, Xena warrior princess, right? And so that's the energy. And so and in when the sun is in its power in Virgo, that feminine, gentle, nurturing, but prodding, Virgo is nurturing in its way, but it also is persistent, and it's going to keep poking at you until you do it the way it's best done, right? So there's a persistence and a not letting go of Virgo that I don't think everybody appreciates about Virgo, or even realizes that it's there. But it still has that stubbornness of Leo, like saying, all right, well, if I have to submit to to being humbled, then you too have to see the errors in your way. And when you're dealing with Libra, I think this energy in Libra, this Pallas Athena energy in Libra, people who have been abusing the law will be held accountable. It's just the way it is. Just the way it is. And we can see here's Ceres, right? Now we know that Ceres, here's Ceres at 29 degrees, the last degree of Libra. So we, as Ceres is leaving Libra, so Ceres cuts things down. As Ceres is leaving Libra and moves into the next sign of Scorpio, which let me tell you, that's going to be cutting down some things as well, but the things that are less easily seen, right? The nefarious connections. But we have Pallas Athena moving into the sign of justice. So it feels like Ceres did this job, like reaped all the, like cut away all the bad stalks of the wheat, and now we have Pallas Athena coming in to decide with her, sword of justice, how are they going to pay? How do they pay? How do they pay back society for what they did to society? Okay. All right. So this is powerful. And of course, same day, 2911 vibration. The word light vibrates to a 2911. This is about seeing the light. And here we have Vesta. Now, I didn't even look at Vesta when we were just looking at Pallas Athena, but let's find Pallas again. Where is she? There's Eris. We can talk about that too. All right, Pallas Athena, where are you, sweetie? Oh my God, I can't find Pallas. Where's Pallas? Pallas Athena, Pallas. Oh shoot. Oh, here she is. Okay, sorry. 7 minutes in. She's 7 minutes in, and we have Vesta moving into Cancer. What are we focused on? What are we devoted to? This is the Vestal Virgins, Vesta. They were in charge of keeping the temple fires lit. They kept the fire of the fire within, the creative force within, sort of untouched in some cases. But I don't think they were always, there were other, I think there were other things that the Vestal Virgins did. When Rome came in, they sort of like said, oh, you can only do this. And, if you can be killed if so it was sort of like almost like a nunnery when when the Romans came in. But previous to that, the Vestal Virgins had a much more even like sensual energy to them. In fact, if I remember correctly, if I'm remembering this correctly, years ago I saw an article on Virgo and prostitutes, Vesta and Virgo and prostitutes. I think that was like three of the themes in the article, and this person had done charts on women who had been involved in prostitution and the like, and to see they might have even used like the happy hookers chart, but it was so long ago. It was like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But I think it was in oh, what was the name of the Mountain Astrologer? I think it was in the Mountain Astrologer. All right, so now we have Vesta moving into Cancer, devoting herself to children, right? And the interesting thing is this year is a 7 universal year. The 7 universal year is found on this path on the Tree of Life, which is between Bina here and Gibura. This path is a path of Cancer. And so anytime something goes into Cancer, then that path gets activated even more so, because that's the 7 vibration of the year. So and the Cancer is the energy of the soul coming into the body and taking on the mantle of the personality in order to do the soul's work on the physical plane, right? That's kind of the deal with that path. And so we have Vesta. So Vesta is asking us to devote ourselves to our spiritual path and devote ourselves to who we are on the inside. 7. It's a 7 universal year, but it's also a 7 if you add the year and the month together, because it's a 9-month. Any number connected to 9 keeps its number. So 9 plus 7 is 7, right? 9 plus 8 is 8. And so we're in a 7 universal year in a 7 month, the only 7 month of this month, right? We only get 1 7 month. It's September. So this is when we really have to devote ourselves and focus in on what it is that keeps the fire burning. Your spirit. The lights must shine, but they must shine from the inside out. That's what Vesta in Cancer is telling us at this time. This is a very pivotal week. And a lot of it has to do with holding the space. Holding the space. All right. Let's go. Let's keep going. All righty. Where are we? Okay. I can never find the little arrow. Okay, so now we're looking at the new moon at 22 degrees of Virgo. Let's look at that Sabian symbol. So this is happening on the 14th. And that's a 30/3 vibration. September. Now, I think for some people it may be happening on the 15th, and you would have to take that into consideration. So you would be looking at your new moon would be happening on the 31/4 vibration, which is the 5 of Wands, which is going to be in the next slide anyway. So you can glean from that if you like. But there is this sense, 4 posts, right? 4 things holding. There's this sense of structuring the spirit here, right? Structuring spirituality, because the wands are fire, and fire needs to be tended, right? Fire needs to be tended. So a royal coat of arms enriched with precious stones. And I want to look at this Sabian symbol because you know, people like, oh, a royal coat of arms. Most people are not into royalty, especially not here. I mean, even, well, I guess we have celebrity royalty in America, which is ridiculous. But really, honestly, like who cares what they're doing? But, you know, that's just me. Um, Leave them alone, let them do their work, let them do their art, you know, art, whatever it is, they're good at it, let them do it, and just stay out of their personal lives, right? Jesus. All right, I can get off of that. I'll get off that tangent right now. Off of that one. Keynote, the certification of aristocratic status at whatever level nobility expresses itself in cultural eminence. Once more, a reference to ancestral achievements occurs among these symbols in a sign for the sign of Virgo. It seems here that its most exalted character for royalty is spoken of. Traditionally, the king is the spiritual symbol of unity, of an integrated nation, nobility. And so this is perhaps a call to a more noble future, to find people who can lead, who truly believe in the promise of a place like in my case of my country, America. In your country, you know, what is it that you want to be? What part of your story do you want to nurture? What part of your story do you want to heal? What part of your story do you want to forget? Well, isn't it, don't they say forgive and forget or something like that? I think my mother used to say that. So I think that, you know, there is this, again, this energy of looking at the stories that are being posed, looking at the stories that we tell ourselves, and that we have to ask ourselves, is that really my story? Is that there's this whole thing going on the internet about your storybook, you can't have, you have to make your own storybook. It's really like the story that you would tell yourself, this is the life I want to manifest, and then leave it, you know, and then you have to like step back from the universe and say, okay, and you know, there's it's about more about getting in the flow than fighting the flow. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. Now let's take into consideration that this new moon is in a trine with Uranus, Jupiter, and Pluto. A grand trine with Uranus, Jupiter, and Pluto. Uranus and Pluto is transformation, but there's a flow of transformation here. And then there's Jupiter, which is about expansion. So there's this, you know, energy. And yet, could that get out of hand? Could that get crazy? Could that? Yes, because with the trines, there's nothing getting in the way. There's nothing getting in the way. Now we also have to this new moon in opposition to Neptune, right? So we're testing the boundaries here. We're testing what's real and what's not real. You know, what's real and what's not real. So we're going through this now Saturn retrograde is going to be retrograde until December, and then it's going to start moving forward again. It almost gets down to 1, I think, 1 degree. So it almost leaves the sign, but it doesn't. It stays in Pisces. Doesn't have to climb out of the fish pond and go into Aquarius anymore. It's in Pisces, but it gets right to the edge of the pool. And then it's going to go back over this. So this is this sort of very much amorphous time of possibilities to manifest the best or manifest the worst, because the energy doesn't care. The energy doesn't care what it's manifesting. The energy is the energy. You are the focus. And so you are the 7. You are the know thyself. You are the chariot with your spiritual purpose. The compass has been set. You just got to get on. Just got to get on the chariot. It already knows where it's got to go. Are you going to be a willing participant? Are you going to be screaming the whole way, oh, get me off of this thing? Like, which one? Which one are we picking? We're gonna have to know and do something, do or be. Actually, we don't have to do anything. We just have to be ourselves. Be who you are. Right in this moment, exactly as you are, warts and all. Anything is changeable. Anything is mutable. Really nothing in a way is written in stone. But how hard do you want to bang your head against a stone wall, right? That's another question you can ask yourself. All right, so we also can look at Mercury. Of course, I didn't actually look at Mercury, but I want to look at Mercury because Mercury is at 9 degrees of Virgo. So that Mercury, that 9 degrees of Mercury is dispositing this 22 degrees of Virgo. And tomorrow Mercury stations direct, but it goes to 8 degrees. So we have not the 9th degree being activated through this new moon. The 8th degree will be activated when Mercury changes its direction. It says an expressionist painter at work, the urge to express one's individualized sense of value regardless of tradition. This is you being you. This is you being you. Paint your life. Paint the picture of your life. This is a good time to sit down before you get to this new moon and really kind of decide, write it down in a book. I have a beautiful book here. Well, I have a number of you. This is one of them. This is one of my pretty books that I like to write stuff down. And a lot of times it's just figuring things out and notes to myself and things like that. It's not really an organized like book of shadows or anything, but you can write your life in that. You can focus and see what it is that how you want to bring your light into the world, right? But you also have to be open to the fact that sometimes the universe has a better idea. Okay, let's continue. Dear. Oh yeah, here we go. On the 15th, we have Ceres, the goddess of agriculture, reaping, grieving, goddess of food, ingress into Scorpio, the sign of death and rebirth. The first degree of Scorpio, the crowded sightseeing bus on a city street, the fundamental human eagerness to expand one's social horizon and to experience the results of collective achievements and new ways of life, widening of experience. This is, and we just looked at a trine in the earth signs, right? With the new moon and Jupiter and Uranus and Pluto, right? Now we look at a trine in the water signs, a grand trine in the water signs. And what is this grand trine in the water signs consist of? Well, it consists of Vesta, which just moved into Cancer, Ceres, which is just moving into Scorpio, and Saturn, which is in Pisces. This water trines are healing. They're flowing. They have an opportunity. There's a lot of emotionality here. What wounds are, how many mothers' tears are going to fall or are falling that we are not even aware of? Mothers in Afghanistan, mothers in the Ukraine, mothers in Russia, mothers in America, mothers all over the world, crying for senseless destruction of what they love. Enough is enough. Ceres moving through Scorpio. Ceres is an energy associated with grief and grieving. And I would like to think that there's enough to grieve over already, that we don't need to add more grief. I don't know if that might be a bit tad optimistic. The Ceres may not feel that way until she gets to Sagittarius. But this is going to be a time when it's so very important to visualize the better world while healing the present world and attending to the needs of the women and the children and the earth and the people who need to be protected. So this is a profound time. Now, we can see here that Eris is getting very close to the North Node. This will be exact in November. We also have Black Moon Lilith here, trining that. We have the goddess of social justice in the sign of justice. So things are changing. Things are changing. Mercury stations direct at 8 degrees of Virgo. It's the other Sabian symbol. A 5-year-old child takes a first dancing lesson. Learning to use one's capacity for emotional self-expression according to cultural standards. The individual can express his own individual character only according to traditional modes. He is still entirely responsible to his teacher or guru, yet new perspectives are now opening up to him. The potentiality of initiation. The doors are opening up to many people that they were closed to before, and that's one of the reasons why it feels so very chaotic right now. It's like any new experience. You're trying to figure out how do you work with this energy. And if you're a teacher and you've had experience with a life of chaos that has brought you to a healing experience, then you're being called to action. You're being called to action. Here we have the sun in Virgo. We have the moon in Virgo. At the time of the station, the moon has moved into Libra, right? But the new moon was in Virgo. We have Mercury just turning around in Virgo. This is a powerful and powerful potential time. Do I know what I'm saying? I do know what I'm saying. The potentiality of initiation into a new way of being. And then the trine between the sun and Uranus, whose Sabian symbol was a new continent rising. And now we're at the point with Uranus and the sun is the point of greatest self-expression. This is a Leo energy. Leo, this trine is a Leo trine. It's willful. What's going on in Leo? Venus is in Leo, and Venus is now moving direct in Leo, leadership. Venus, the feminine, as morning star, the warrior. The creative self-expressive trine, what needs to be created from that original conjunction at 19 of Taurus, the continent rising out of the ocean. Now the sun is at 23 of Virgo, right? A lion tamer displays his skill and character, the need to tame one's vital energies to fulfill one's destiny. This is about taking responsibility for your gifts and utilizing them, folks. Trine Uranus at 23 of Taurus, a jewelry shop filled with valuable gems. The social, I can't see it. I have to move something. The social confirmation of natural excellence. The interesting thing about the 23rd degree of Taurus is back in 2000, we had the Saturn Jupiter conjunction that happens every 20 years. The next time it happened was winter solstice of 2020 when it got together at the first degree of Aquarius. But 20 years previous, this was the degree, and it was in Taurus. And Taurus says, what do you value? And we think about from 2020 to 2000 to 2020, that 20-year period, how our sense of what was important has changed. People understand what's important. People understand that we need a planet that we can breathe on and water we can drink, and not be in the path of every terrible, awful storm. People know this. They are experiencing it. And they're going to vote with it. So, and they're going to make their voices heard. And so we need to really figure out what kind of life we want to live and take steps to get there. And I think it starts with holding people accountable who have felt like they have no accountability. That's the first thing. And once the line's been drawn by Pallas Athena, I think we're going to see a big change and a big shift. So that's the story. All right, I think that's it. I think that's the last aspect I want to look at. Yeah, so then we move into week 3, which we're not going to talk about till week 3. All right, guys, so let me get out of here. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. For my Patreons, you get this early. Thank you for being a patron. I really appreciate it. And for those who see this when it comes up on YouTube, please like and subscribe if you would, if you enjoy these. I am having classes in September. We're going to be starting after that new moon in Virgo. And so I'm going to be having a beginner's astrology class, and I'm going to have an introduction to the Kabbalah class, as well as my normal Tuesday night astrology salon. If you're versed in astrology and you want to join us, we talk about current events. We talk about things in our own lives and how they're reflected in the stars. It's very practical, and it's sort of exploratory. We explore the energies and the connections between an event and the sky. So, all right, have yourself a great week. Take care, and I'll see you again next week. Namaste.